It's like I said in court. I don't want anybody to feel that they've been treated inappropriately or harassed by me in any way. I love my fans. It's funny because my lawyers said, every outlet in the world wants to talk to you. And again, I'm not defining myself from some headline in the press.
In a world where fame and power seem untouchable, it appears that even the biggest names in Hollywood aren't immune to the consequences of their actions. Recent events have sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry, leaving celebrities and their fans stunned. Sean "Diddy" Combs, a man whose public persona has been carefully curated over decades, is now facing the most serious allegations of his life. But what might be even more shocking? Cuba Gooding Jr., another A-list star, has found himself dragged into Diddy's orbit of scandal, and the rumors swirling around him are just as wild.
And then, it's one of those moments in my life where I was trying to numb the pain, so I would...
Let's break this down. Diddy's arrest wasn't just a moment of drama for the tabloids. It's opened up a floodgate of revelations about his wild parties, questionable associations, and, according to whispers, some of the darkest secrets in Hollywood. But the most jaw-dropping part of it all? Cuba Gooding Jr., an Oscar-winning actor, is reportedly panicking right now, scrambling for a way out as the walls close in. Imagine being in his shoes, accused of attending some of the most debauched events imaginable, linked to Diddy's shady dealings, and now, apparently, working with his lawyers to strike a deal with the FBI. Could Cuba be ready to flip on Diddy and sell out their whole circle of celebrity co-conspirators? Let's dive into what we know and what's being said behind the scenes.
I've had clients describe NBC as hell, as the worst conditions they've been in.
It all started when Diddy was arrested in New York, shocking not just his fans, but the entire music industry. The charges were heavy, alleging that he had been involved in a series of orchestrated events, which, according to the indictment, spanned years. These accusations have led to an enormous fallout, with several of Diddy's closest associates suddenly disappearing from public view. Everyone is speculating that they're all scrambling to cover their tracks, and Cuba is apparently no different. As the news of Diddy's arrest spread, it seems like a number of high-profile names have been feeling the heat, and Cuba Gooding Jr. is rumored to be one of the most terrified.
Shame anybody or to take any of these women who've, made their statements.
Cuba has already faced legal issues of his own in the past few years, and this latest connection to Diddy's alleged crimes couldn't have come at a worse time. You might remember that Cuba's been in hot water before, with accusations of inappropriate behavior coming to light in recent years. But what's different now is that his name is being linked to some of the most outrageous activities that allegedly went down at Diddy's infamous parties.
That the raid and all of that stuff, only time will tell. Who was involved, who had been a frequent guest in these places and areas.
Cuba, once a beloved figure in Hollywood, is now reportedly doing everything he can to distance himself from Diddy. According to rumors, he's been in constant contact with his legal team, figuring out the best way to minimize the fallout. And there's even talk that he's considering cooperating with authorities in exchange for leniency. The question is, how far is Cuba willing to go to save himself? And what does he know that might help take Diddy down?
It wasn't that my behavior was focused towards women. I was carefree in front of groups and crowds of people.
Some insiders are speculating that Cuba might be ready to offer up some major names. If these whispers are true, it's not just Diddy who's in trouble. There could be a long list of high-profile figures who have a lot to lose. For years, Diddy's parties have been the stuff of legend in Hollywood circles, attended by musicians, actors, and even politicians. But now, what used to be seen as just another celebrity gathering is being exposed for what it allegedly was: a breeding ground for some of the most questionable and, frankly, shocking behavior imaginable. People are wondering if Cuba was just a bystander at these events, or if he played a more active role. And if he did, is he willing to turn on Diddy and others to save himself?
Cuba Gooding Jr. settles a lawsuit by a woman who accused him of a decade ago. Trial was about to start with jury selection in New York federal court.
One rumor making the rounds is that Cuba has been in secret talks with federal authorities for weeks, weighing his options. It wouldn't be the first time a celebrity has cut a deal to avoid harsher consequences. In fact, there's been chatter that Diddy himself might have made similar moves in the past to avoid legal trouble, some even suggesting that he's been working as an informant for years to keep the authorities off his back.
Now, if the government is going to mandate that they are responsible for your well-being, they have to ensure the safety of your well-being.
But now, with the evidence piling up against him, it seems like Diddy's luck has finally run out. And with Cuba's name being dragged into the mess, it looks like he might be the one to help seal Diddy's fate. Cuba's legal team is reportedly trying to paint him as a victim of circumstance, claiming that he never fully understood what he was getting into by attending Diddy's events. But the problem is, more and more information is coming to light that suggests otherwise. Leaked footage, witness testimonies, and even some of Cuba's own past statements are now being used against him. In interviews from just a few years ago, Cuba spoke about his friendship with Diddy, describing their time together as fun and carefree, but those words are now being re-examined, and people are asking, was Cuba turning a blind eye to what was really going on, or was he complicit?
McGuire's star reached a settlement with a woman who sued him for $6 million on the accusation that he raped her a decade ago. The decision came.
And let's not forget that Cuba's not the only one who might be looking for a way out. Diddy's arrest has triggered a domino effect, with several other celebrities rumored to be lawyering up as well. Names that were once whispered about in Hollywood's most exclusive circles are now being thrust into the spotlight, with allegations of wild parties, cover-ups, and backdoor deals all coming to the surface. Some sources say that the list of people who could be implicated in Diddy's downfall reads like a who's who of the entertainment industry. And if Cuba is willing to cooperate, we could be on the verge of one of the biggest scandals in Hollywood history. But it's not just the parties that are at the center of this storm. Diddy's recent legal troubles have been piling up, with lawsuit after lawsuit hitting him hard. The most recent one, demanding a staggering $100 million, is just the tip of the iceberg. Allegations of misconduct have been surfacing for years, but Diddy always seemed to come out on top. Until now.
We were acquaintances, just like I just showed you.
Yeah.
2-3 times I've seen him, so it's...
Oh, so Diddy, you've only seen him 2 or 3 times.
That's what I'm saying! That's what I'm...
This time, it feels different. The lawsuits are more serious, the charges more severe, and the evidence more damning. It's no wonder that people are saying Diddy is finished. And if Cuba is smart, he'll do whatever it takes to separate himself from the sinking ship. Behind closed doors, those who have been part of Diddy's world for years are reportedly panicking. Some are even pointing to Diddy's history of evading justice and wondering how he managed to keep his secrets hidden for so long. It's no secret that Diddy has had his fair share of run-ins with the law, but somehow he always managed to walk away unscathed. Some have even speculated that he's been protected by higher powers, that maybe, just maybe, he's been cutting secret deals with authorities to keep his empire intact. Could this be why Diddy has been able to operate the way he has for so many years? And now that the walls are closing in, is it possible that he'll try to pull off one last deal to save himself?
It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life. Sometimes you gotta do that. I was up.
But with all the mounting evidence against him, it's hard to imagine a way out this time. From what we're hearing, the case against Diddy is rock solid. There's talk of recordings, documents, and even eyewitness testimonies that paint a horrifying picture of what really went down at his infamous gatherings. And while Diddy's legal team is working around the clock to fight these charges, it seems like there's little they can do to stop the inevitable. The once untouchable music mogul is now facing the fight of his life, and with Cuba Gooding Jr. reportedly ready to cooperate, things are about to get even worse for him. What's particularly interesting about this whole situation is how long the rumors have been swirling. For years, people in the industry have whispered about Diddy's so-called wild side and the extreme lengths he would go to maintain control over his empire. From secret meetings to hush-hush deals, it seemed like Diddy always had a plan to keep his name out of the headlines. But as more people start to come forward, it's becoming clear that these weren't just wild rumors. They were a dark reality that many in Hollywood knew about, but were too afraid to speak out against.
I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable.
Some sources are even suggesting that Diddy's downfall could lead to a domino effect in Hollywood, with more high-profile names being exposed for their involvement in similar activities. It's almost like the entire industry has been sitting on a powder keg, and now, with Diddy's arrest, it's finally about to explode. As for Cuba, the question remains, will he be the one to light the fuse? Or will he find a way to quietly bow out before things get too messy? The stakes couldn't be higher for both Diddy and Cuba. If Cuba does decide to cooperate, he could help put Diddy behind bars for good. But at what cost? Will he be able to walk away from this scandal with his reputation intact, or will the revelations about his own involvement tarnish his legacy forever? One thing's for sure, Hollywood is holding its breath to see what happens next. As more details come to light, the true extent of Diddy's alleged crimes and the involvement of his celebrity friends will finally be revealed.
This is the end of the Diddy story as we know it.
In the end, it's hard to say who will come out on top in this game of high-stakes legal drama. But one thing is clear, Diddy's empire is crumbling, and those who were once part of his inner circle are now scrambling to distance themselves. As for Cuba, the days of staying silent are over. It's only a matter of time before the truth comes out, and when it does, it could change Hollywood forever. Will Cuba turn on his former friend to save himself, or will he go down with the ship? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure. The fallout from Diddy's arrest is far from over. So, what do you think? Could Cuba Gooding Jr. really be ready to sell out Diddy and his A-list crew to save his own skin? Or is he just another victim caught up in a web of lies and manipulation? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for all the latest updates on this ongoing saga. Stay tuned. This story is just getting started.